I said, wait a minute, our tissue is the same everywhere, right? So if we're tightening the tissue up here and we're improving the health up here, can we do it down there? And so I looked into it, and lo and behold, no one else had thought about this. I was shocked.
Wow.
Wait, what? Someone clearly in Europe or in Asia or somewhere had thought about this. And the short answer is no.
This is the Angel Next Door podcast, where we will talk about all things angel investing. What it is, who does it, how do we find them, what does it mean to invest in an early stage company? If you have ever wondered how you can affect the change you want to see in the world, then tune in to learn more. In this episode, I'm talking to my friend and trailblazing CEO, Colette Courtion, the visionary behind JoyLux, a company revolutionizing women's intimate health and wellness. Fasten your seatbelts as we go on an inspiring roller coaster ride. Colette shares the real behind-the-scenes highs and lows of building her groundbreaking brand, including her personal journey as a geriatric mother, which she was told she was as a mother having a baby in her early 40s, overcoming the FDA and other social media hurdles, navigating the chaos of the pandemic, and launching a transformative partnership with none other than Halle. Don't miss the surprising details about how tariffs and the global supply chain issues impact small businesses like JoyLux. Enjoy the show. Colette, welcome to the Angel Next Door podcast. I'm excited to have you here today. I know you were a part of the original group of Angels Live a long time ago, but now we are going to talk about all the updates to your amazing company, JoyLux. I know your ears are burning sometimes because I'm always talking about what an amazing founder I think you are and everything. So I'm so excited to have you on this.
Oh, you are such a sweetheart and literally have been one of our biggest cheerleaders since the beginning. And you've been there with us when we've had those lows and now those highs. So just excited to share what's transpired over the last year because it's been a pivotal moment for JoyLux and we've really seen major transformation in our company.
It has been so fun to watch the journey. And so, yes, we will talk about the highs and the lows. Why don't we start? Just tell us a little bit about why you started the company and what JoyLux actually does.
Yeah, so I started the company out of my own personal pursuit for better women's healthcare. 10 years ago, believe it or not, I had a child and I was what they call a geriatric mother. What an awesome
What were you, like 30 or something?
But I was actually quite old. I was 42. So that is old for having a baby. And so I went through that experience. No one prepared me for physically what happens to your body after childbirth, specifically your vaginal health, your pelvic floor health. Everybody talks about your mental health. My own OBGYN didn't really prepare me for the physical changes. Right after I gave birth, I went into perimenopause. In fact, I was literally in perimenopause as I was pregnant because the doctors even think I could have a baby. They're like, that ship has sailed. I proved them wrong, like I love to do, but they were worried I couldn't even get pregnant. So I was now in perimenopause and those vaginal health issues just got worse. And I remember having that aha moment that you hear people talk about. I literally had an aha moment because my company at the time and my previous 17 years was in the field of medical aesthetics. So I was dealing with all the latest in anti-aging technologies for skin technologies to rebuild collagen elastin in the tissue, to increase blood flow for tissue health. But I was focused on this area. But as I'm dealing with these health issues after the pregnancy and with perimenopause, I said, wait a minute, our tissue is the same everywhere, right? So if we're tightening the tissue up here and we're improving the health up here, can we do it down there? And so I looked into it and lo and behold, no one else had thought about this. I was shocked.
Wow.
Wait, what? Someone clearly in Europe or in Asia or somewhere had thought about this. And the short answer is no. And I went back to my OBGYN who delivered my baby and I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. Do you think this would work? And she's, yeah, it would make sense. So I then found a really smart technologist, a doctor, a PhD that knows everything about energy-based technologies. And the three of us ended up coming up with what is now called VFit and VSculpt, depending on where you are in the world. And it is the first home use device that uses red light technology, and you could see how bright that red light is, to rebuild collagen elastin in the vaginal tissue and to increase blood flow. And by doing that, you're alleviating these issues that are commonly affecting women, especially menopausal women. So vaginal dryness, incontinence, bladder leakage, all of these things that happen as a result of losing estrogen losing, aging, having childbearing, the pressure on your pelvic floor, all those things happen and your tissue becomes loose, it becomes dry. There's all these things. And so by using red light therapy, we're basically improving the health of your tissue. So we're increasing blood flow, which increases tissue health, I could go really deep into the science behind this, but we're exciting the mitochondria in your cells, which then create new collagen elastin. So we're doing all these wonderful things. So the same up here, but we're doing it down there. And we were the first to do it. We have 24 issued patents. There's some copycat companies out there. We're coming after them because they're infringing on our patents. But yeah, there you have it. So my own personal journey to really, truly transformational technology that's improving women's health all over the world.
Amazing. So that was 10 years ago that you came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And then you start the company, you're building it. And I think I became an investor in the company at some point, maybe like 2018 or 17.
You were one of the first.
No, we were earlier than that.
We were 2016.
2016. That's
Yeah.
right. Wow.
Yeah. And we were about to go commercial. We, of course, ran into a major roadblock with the FDA. Our commercialization was put on hold for 2 years. So we went live here in the United States in 2018. And it was definitely a very challenging time. So talk about those highs and lows. It was definitely a low point. We thought we could go to market. The FDA said, nope, not yet. And it took us a while before we ultimately got our path forward. And then once we got the go ahead to start marketing the United States, we were faced with a new challenge, which is consumers have never heard of this before. We were creating a new category of vaginal health in menopause. You couldn't say the word menopause on any of the social platforms. You certainly couldn't say the word vagina because apparently, even though vagina is the correct terminology for a body part, all the social platforms, all the online platforms thought vagina meant pornographic. So anytime anybody said the word vagina, it was deemed inappropriate or pornographic and you couldn't talk about it. So now I have a segment of health concerns that I can't say, with body parts I can't talk about, with a technology that's never been done before.
Wow.
I've been marketing that. So it was definitely a challenging time to get the word out.
But I do remember that there was a quote from one of your customers that said, if my house was on fire, the first thing I would grab would be my V-Fit.
I love that quote.
So good.
Legitimate quote. We have helped so many women, and we're clearly in a different position today than we were in 2018. Finally, people understand that menopause is a thing. It's a phase that we all need to pay attention to. Like puberty is a phase, menopause is a phase, and it affects 50% of the population, and the symptoms are horrific. So women are raising their hands saying, what can I do about this? So finally, there's awareness for menopause. Our technology is truly transformative. I get letters written to me, handwritten letters from our customers saying, you saved my marriage. You gave me hope. You gave me confidence. And so I know what we're doing is right. But oh man, the road to get to where we are today has been very bumpy.
And then throw a global pandemic into the middle of it. You absolutely amazed me though. I remember on March 15th, maybe it was like the morning of March 16th. Okay, I'll give you like 12 hours. that you took to think about it. And then you literally had all the investors on the phone and you were like, hey, this is happening. And so here's what we're doing. And it wasn't like, hey, this is happening. What do you think? And no, like you had a plan and you told us what the plan was. And you're like, here's what I need you to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And here's how we're going to get through this. And it was like truly what you would really want any and every CEO to do.
Thank you. I remember that moment very vividly because our bank account had gotten quite low prior to COVID. We were in a fundraising mode. And so we were out there pitching investors, and women's health was still, menopause now is hot, literally and figuratively, but we see a lot of investment dollars now going into this category. Back then, it was not a category and no one was investing in it. And then you add on vagina. And so it was really tough for me in the investment world raising capital at that time. Then you add on the pandemic where, oh my gosh, we are now going into lockdown where I'm not going to be able to speak to invest. I can't go to New York and pitch an investor. And then every investor at that time was like, okay, no new investments. We're all going to focus on our portfolio company. understand how this pandemic is affecting them, make sure that any dry powder we have goes to supporting our portfolio companies. And up to this point, I had been funded basically by angel investors like you. There wasn't necessarily dry powder to be put towards us.
Right. Right.
So we had to act, and we had to act very quickly. So what I'm most proud of is that I didn't go off and make these decisions by myself. I gathered the leadership team of JoyLux, and I said, here's the situation. This is do or die for us. Do we want to die or do we want to thrive? And so we collectively all agreed on areas we would cut in the business. We all took pay cuts, and I didn't mandate a pay cut. I said, please go home, talk to your spouse, your partner, look at your financial situation and what can you do? And I did this because the reality is some people could cut more than others. I didn't want to put any of our employees in a position where they couldn't pay their rent. They couldn't care for their children. So I said, please go home, talk to whomever you need to, look at your financials, come back to me and let me know where you're able to cut. I was so shocked they went much deeper than I even anticipated, which really spoke to how we were all in it together. And so we had a plan in terms of our financials, what our run rate could now be, what cuts we could take. I made sure that everybody knew this was not permanent. It was a moment in time. And once we got to a place where we either raised that capital or we got ourselves out of this hole, everybody would be made whole again. This was not, again, a permanent situation. And so then we went to our board and we said, this is what we can do, but we need X from our investors to bridge this gap. And that's when I got on the phone. Literally, I think it was 48 hours, maybe it was a week later, to all of our investors. I said, we have cut expenses by 55% or whatever it was. Here's our strategy. We're moving online and here's what we're projecting over the next 6 months. And I was so pleased that the support we got from our investors, it was 5,000 here, 20,000 here, but we were able to raise $2 million. And that $2 million bought us 12 months of runway. And then the world, like the COVID ended up being the best thing for us because everybody went online. So our consumers had all that free time to research menopause, research solutions. They discovered JoyLux and our sales went through the roof. And that was really the beginning of what has been a major pivotal transformative path for our company. And we are now a D2C company. Back then we were selling wholesale to doctors, and now we are a D2C company and thriving. And so COVID really was, as awful as it was for so many people, it was a real blessing in disguise for our company.
Yeah, you and the whole team just did such an
yeah.
amazing job in the week.
We're all still here.
Amazing.
That's the team then. That is the team with me today. And we are all personally invested in the success of this company. We all believe in it. We are so passionate about it. We joke that if we left, we'd all get better paying jobs somewhere else. But we feel so blessed that women trust us with their health and that we're able to make major differences in their quality of life. And so that just keeps us entrenched in this company and going every single day.
Yeah. So I do think it was my generation, the Xers, that decided that we were not going to stand for being quiet about menopause. And so now we've seen so many people speaking out on it, especially celebrities. So I know you have some experience with that. So tell us a little bit about how you first got your introduction.
The crazy thing is that we all know through the internet the power of an endorsement, whether it's a celebrity or an influencer, someone that has a lot of followers. And when they authentically endorse a product or say this product changed their lives, it really does have a positive impact on that company. So we were proactively looking for someone to partner with to help elevate JoyLux brand message and our story. We actually got pretty far down the path with Sharon Stone. Oh. She was phenomenal. It was so much fun interacting with her. We were introduced to her through one of our investors. Ultimately, we couldn't agree on how this would look. So we both walked away, but it was certainly a really fun experience. She's a hoot, loved sitting in her home, Sharon Stone. She's a legend, right? Yeah. We then moved on. Okay, maybe we're shooting too high. Maybe we're shooting too high into the stars and moons for someone like a Sharon Stone. Maybe we just need to go the influencer route. So we started talking to some bigger name influencers. And again, we were having some fun dialogue. And then I got a call. Hi, this is Halle Berry's manager, and she loves what you're doing, and she'd like to talk to you. I thought it was a joke. I literally thought someone was pranking me because they knew about the Sharon Stone, they knew about the influencer outreach. So I thought I was being pranked. I didn't believe it. How in the world would a woman like Halle Berry, an acclaimed actress, a icon, a beautiful human being, a woman, why would she want to talk to me? But it was in fact true. And so long story short, we were invited to her home. And so my doctor, Dr. Sarah Dilatori, and I flew down to Los Angeles, and we said we were given a half-hour opportunity to meet with Halle to talk about the ways in which we could partner together. And that half-hour meeting in her home, by the way, she greeted me with a hug. I never met this woman. I go into her house, and the first thing she does is hug me. I'm like, oh my God, I have died and gone to heaven. That half-hour meeting turned into a 2-hour conversation about how much she loves our products, how our products have changed her life. So she called us because she was suffering her own intimate health challenges, and she's been very vocal about her vaginal dryness, her atrophy, and menopause. It's all over the news. How she was misdiagnosed with having an STD when in fact it was just vaginal atrophy. How she used BeFit, how it literally transformed her life. And she wants to be part of our company. She wants to be an investor, a shareholder. She wants to lean in. She wants the world to know how great our products are. And I mean, we were just blown away. We left that meeting with, oh my God, there's so many great things we can do. So what happened next is over the next year, we worked on what is now called Let's Spin. And this is the most incredible lubricant. We call it an intimacy gel because personal lubricant sounds so KY jelly-ish.
Right.
But we really wanted to elevate the bedroom experience. We wanted women to not be ashamed that they may need a lubricant. In menopause, 75% of women will experience vaginal dryness. That dryness leads to pain with intercourse. That pain with intercourse often can cause women to just be like, nope, not tonight, honey, I'm not having it. And so we wanted to elevate the bedroom experience. And so this gel, first of all, I don't know if you'll be able to see on this podcast, but it is the most silky, hydrating. There's no tackiness. You could see there's nothing. It's just pure gold. It is not, or pure silk, actually. It is not your KY jelly lubricant. It's Dr. Sarah designed it. It's pH balanced. So it has a 4.5 pH. It has hyaluronic acid, which is the ingredient we use on our face for moisture. It has aloe, which is really good for soothing skin irritation. And it has no toxic ingredients. All these ingredients are very safe because your vaginal tissue is very absorptive. So anything you put down there goes right into our system. So we want it to be just clean ingredients. And what was really important to Halle was that the design of the bottle be really something that when you touch, you feel. It's an elevated experience. So it's glass, the cap is aluminum and really nice. And it's something you could put by your bed, on your bedstand, and not be embarrassed by it. This is like a perfume bottle or a skincare bottle. That took us a full year to develop. We also got FDA clearance for it, which was another major feat where, and that took a year of submitting all the safety data, the efficacy data, all this data, and going through that process. It is very stringent. We had to do so much testing on this. So we got clearance and we were able to launch, and we made the partnership announcement public in basically October of 2024, not quite 6 months ago, or are we at 6 months? 6 months. And it has been the most incredible thing for our business. It has been night and day difference.
Wow. Yeah. And then Halle was recently on an Oprah special.
And the Drew Barrymore show. And the amount of publicity that we now have for our company as a result of Halle I've never knew it was possible. We've been written up in every major beauty publication, been on the Drew Barrymore show, Oprah special, like all these incredible podcasts, these other shows. It just keeps getting better. And Halle is authentically leaning in, talking about her experience with the BeFit, talking about Let's Spin, and then just talking about her partnership with JoyLux and why we're part of her bigger vision, which is she has now become an advocate for menopause. She has her own platform called Respin. She's using that platform to go to Washington, D.C. and lobby Senate and Congress members on the importance of menopause and how there should be more funding for menopause research. She created her own coaching platform where she works with women like you and I on what they're dealing with in menopause and helps them with real solutions on improving their symptoms or products to help improve their symptoms. So there's just a lot she's doing, and her partnership with JoyLux is very instrumental in her second act of being this menopause advocate.
Amazing. All right. So we've been on this kind of high, low roller coaster with JoyLux now, and we're on this high for me.
We are so high, right?
So high, and you actually hit cash flow positive, which is amazing.
Like that for brand in women's health. We hit cash flow positive in Q4. We are growing at 300% year over year growth. It's just right now for us, the biggest challenge is keeping product in stock because while we anticipated a lift, we never knew it would be as big as it was. And the reception we're getting from Ulta, I had been pitched Ulta for 5 years. Please take our brand. And finally we get Halle on board. They're like, okay, let's take your brands. It's just the doors that have opened for us have really been incredible.
Yeah. And we would love to end on a high note, but let's just talk for a minute about tariffs because that's been in the news lately. And this is something that I don't know how many people realize how much this affects small companies even more than the bigger companies that are getting all the headlines. So tell us exactly, what does this mean for a small business?
Let's first make sure consumers know it is not China paying these tariffs. This is not a tariff on China. This is a tariff on anybody that imports product from China or from any other countries because it's been tariffs across all countries, even that lovely little island full of penguins. No humans, but there's a 10% tariff on the penguins. So what happens is we buy product and components from China, and we do that because they have the world's best manufacturing. They have a labor structure that allows for manufacturing costs to be low. Trust me when I say we would all love to build in the United States. Everybody would reduce the complexities. It would reduce any transportation costs. There simply is not the infrastructure in the United States to build what all of our companies like JoyLux build. 75 or 80% of all consumer goods come from China. Until the United States invests in infrastructure and creates a labor pool, whether it's robots or something that allows us to compete with the labor pool in China, we'll never be a manufacturing country. So that's just the reality. We would all prefer to build here, but there is no infrastructure for us to build today. So we buy from China. The product comes to the United States, and before we receive the goods, so before I get this little device, I have to write a check to the US government for tariffs. And up until this point, our tariffs have ranged from 10% to 20%. We factor that into our cost of goods and our pricing model. So when we sell this end product to the consumer, it takes into account we've paid tariffs. As you may or may not have heard, Trump yesterday says, I am putting 125% tariff on any product that's imported into the United States from China. Let me just go back, 75 to 80% of all goods come from China. So this mouse I have, you name it, that computer, the TVs, the cups that Starbucks buys for its coffee, they're coming from China. So that means all of our costs, all of the consumer goods will go up because there's only so much tariffs that we can absorb in our profit margin, in our gross margin, before we can't absorb it anymore. So right now, we have products that we sell to wholesalers. So I sell product to Walmart. And now with the tariffs, the cost of the product, to me, it's not this product, but it's other products, is more than what we are selling it to Walmart. So in this case, I'm losing money. You don't have to be a business leader to know that you cannot sell product at a loss and have a sustainable company, right? So now I am forced to go to Walmart and say, I'm going to have to raise your prices. So Walmart says, again, we need to operate at a profitable margin. So we're going to have to raise our prices to consumers. So this 125% tariff is a tariff ultimately on consumers. Meanwhile, me as a small business, I have products sitting in the port that I have to pay for. And all of a sudden I'm being asked to pay for 125% more. So where do I go and get it? My bank account, I'm a small company. I am not an Apple. I'm not a corporate giant that has billions or millions in cash sitting in a bank account. So it becomes very challenging for small companies like a JoyLux to navigate this uncertain time. And tomorrow, maybe it will be released. Maybe Trump will say, okay, tomorrow you don't pay the tariffs. But for right now, we're hit with a 125% bill that is rushing to a company like JoyLux and to other small businesses and ultimately to the consumers. So I've already been in contact with Walmart. Walmart's raising their prices, not just on JoyLux, but on the TVs, on the books, on all the things that you buy at Walmart, the prices is going up. So the end consumer is ultimately going to be the person hurt here.
Yeah, wow. That was a very informative explanation of exactly how that all works with a company like JoyLux. So
So China doesn't pay for these tariffs, folks. We pay for the tariffs. And there's only so much a small company or even a big company can absorb before they have to pass it on to the end consumer.
Yeah. So I'll ask one more question so we can end on a high note.
Yes, I like those.
Tell us where you think JoyLux will be in a year.
Oh, I'm so excited for the future of JoyLux because not only are we doing very well here in the United States with Halle, we have a brand partner in Europe who white labels our products. And it's here. The company name is Esviva. Essity owns them. And they're also doing very well without Halle. They're just doing very well. And we're talking to them about expanding into other international markets. So we're looking at Europe. We're looking at Brazil. Brazil will actually launch here in the next week, I think, which again was a major accomplishment. So I'm really excited that we're able to take our revolutionary red light intimate health technology and allow more women around the world to have access to it and hopefully transform their lives and improve their quality of life.
Well, Colette, I can't tell you how proud I am of you and all that you've done with JoyLux. It's just incredible. Thank you for coming and telling the story.
Thank you. It's because of investors like you who have supported us. This is like a circle, right? You can't create this unless you have capital. You need investors. So we all work together in this ecosystem. And I've been surrounded with an incredible force of investors, mostly women. We have some awesome men, but mostly women who have stood behind us in the low times and now the high times. It's been quite a journey. So thank you.
As I always say, you have to want to invest in the change that you want to see in the world. And it's really everybody's responsibility. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. To connect with me, visit my website at marciadawood.com. And please subscribe, follow, and leave a review. It helps the podcast get seen by more people. And remember, you can also find the Angel Next Door podcast on YouTube too. And if you're looking to learn more about investing in the changes you want to see in the world, sign up for Ann and Bill Payne's ACA Angel University classes. Go to theangelcapitalassociation.org, all one word, to find out the schedule. And classes are now available on demand. Many classes are offered, everything from angel investing basics, which include fundamentals, risk, due diligence, term sheets, valuations, returns and portfolio strategy, and even a class on group formation. There's even a deeper dive where you can get advanced classes, including capitalization tables, startup boards, and exit strategies. If you're not already a member of the Angel Capital Association, you can become one for a low price that will give you unparalleled access to discounts, free webinars with a huge archive of content, networking opportunities, and much more. We'd love to have you join us. All content for this website is informational and not intended to serve as legal, tax, accounting, or investing advice. While Marcia, that's me, does serve on the SEC Small Business Capital Formation Advisory Committee, my views are my own and not the views of the SEC or my fellow colleagues on the committee. Our speakers and hosts are thoughtfully selected for their educational value, but their opinions are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of the host, me, or the Angel Capital Association, and neither specifically endorse the use of presenters' products or services. Listeners of the podcast should consult their own tax, investing, legal, or accounting advisors before making important financial decisions. All warranties, including accuracy, completeness, and suitability for specific purpose, are disclaimed.